Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 156 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's a furry with me tonight?
My name is Nick Pelayo. I will not go on record and state I am a furry. I will not admit to that just yet.
I had to make that joke.
And I am Commander Lionheart, back again, and I may or may not deny or may or may not accept that I am a furry. We'll find out during this episode.
And Emanuel, where can people find you at?
People can find me over at twitch.tv/Commander Lionheart, where I have a couple streams a week, or on youtube.com/Commander Lionheart, where I also have the streams up there, but I'm also going to be trying to do some actual recorded videos one of these days, maybe.
Okay. If Puerto Rico lets you.
If the electricity, if the internet, if my laziness, well, not laziness, whatever, laziness. I can't say the word.
Procrast.
Yeah, that thing.
And Emmanuel, why don't you introduce what we're talking about today? Because this is kind of something that I put on because of both of you. Oh,
yeah. So we are going to be talking about the 2003? It was 2003, right? 2004? Was it 4?
It's 2004, September.
2004 3D platformer of the PlayStation 2 era, Sly 2, Band of Thieves.
Developed by Sucker Punch and published by Sony.
Yes.
I have only ever played the first game of the series, which was on this podcast. I forget what episode, but I completely skipped this entire series back in the PS2 era.
Yes, I was there for that episode as well.
Yes, both of you were, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think it was both of us who I don't think any of us had played this game in a long, long time. The glory of this podcast really helps rediscover old gems.
And the thing about this game is I had known about it because a long, long time ago when I first started the show, one of my original co-hosts, DJ, I had asked people what's their favorite games, because around episode 100 I was going to try to put people's favorite games in, which everyone left by that time. Well, besides me, so I just did my favorite game, Chrono Trigger, but Sly 2, he said, was his favorite game. And it's always stuck with me. I'm like, okay, one day I got to play this. I got to try out this game. And I was blown away by this game because Sly 1 is fine, but this game was something else.
Sly 1 is such a proof of concept game for the PlayStation 2 era. And this is like, bam, the sequel does everything so much better. And it's just so much more, but all the more stuff is so good. They really just nailed it.
Yeah, the thing about Sly 1 is that even though it's a PlayStation 2 game, it still feels a little bit held back by the PlayStation 1 archetype of, you go into these different levels. Like, you know how in Spyro you go through the portals, in Crash Bandicoot you also go through the portals. In Sly, you enter levels through portals as well. Here with Sly 2, it's an open world, or at least every episode is like a mini open world. So this one was a much bigger step up from the last game. This was
just
actually...
the way the story works, too, to fit with the gameplay. Like, you have these different episodes, the game's broken into 8 episodes, and each episode, like you're saying, you're in this open world map.
You almost feel like this is, I've always said this, and it's a shame that we never actually got neither the movie or the TV series, but this game or these games, they feel almost like they're a TV series, like a Saturday morning cartoon. And I know that I wouldn't want the 3D version that they wanted to do of the TV series, but I would have wanted, I believe that for Sly 4 they did like these mini episodes of like recapping or like telling letting people know what the gang has been up to ever since the end of Sly 3 up until Sly 4. They released like these mini episodes, webisodes, I guess is what they called them back in the day. Yeah, and I've always felt like this series, more than any other game property, would benefit from having an actual TV series. It would just be like taking the concept of this game of like an episode and make it like them going after one villain, or like what's the name of that term? The monster of the week is what they call him.
Yeah, that's all Supernatural kind of starts off as, or Smallville is.
Yeah, so I think that it could work if they ever wanted to do like a Saturday morning cartoon type of show, like this game would benefit, or this series would be like the best one to do it.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, it's such a children-friendly type of environment. The cast of characters are all so much fun, and it's just spy shit. Spy shit's so cool.
Yeah,
I mean, even like the story of this game, I care about stories, but I didn't care in a platform. I usually just want to play the game. But the whole idea that you start off, you're trying to collect the parts or steal the parts of Clockwork from the final boss of the first game, and then they get stolen right before you get there by another gang called the Claw Gang, I think it was.
The Claw Gang.
And then your whole mission now is to get all the parts back from the Claw Gang while you're being kind of chased by Carmelita and the Interpol.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I was just surprised. Like the first level you started with, I think it's called the Black Chateau or something. It's episode 1. Like you get little missions because the whole idea is that you're trying to plan a heist for each mission. Like you have to go and you have to do recon. You have to do certain missions that will then affect, the big mission at the end. And I haven't had a heist mission in the game since Grand Theft Auto 5. It was like, okay, this reminded me of that again.
This is almost like a proto Persona 5. Like this was the prototype. This game ran so that, or walked so that Persona 5 could run, right? That's the saying? I don't know. Or the other way around. I forget.
But it was just like when you get to an episode, you start off only a couple missions sometimes, and you get to see, and also the game makes you play as all three characters. Sly, you're a raccoon that can be stealthy and get around the levels better. Murray, a big hippo that can punch things, and then a little turtle that is mostly sneaky and can shoot people with crossbows and put them to sleep.
Yeah, and each character plays pretty differently. They have the core movements of how each small open hub is. It feels like it's designed for Sly Cooper to like balance and stealth his way through all of it. But then as you play as the other characters, you realize there's all these ledges and jump pads for all the other characters to basically explore pretty much all of the environment. So you never feel limited by a character you're playing. You just feel powered by their specific abilities.
I really only like Sly the most. I became better fan of Bentley, but it took a while.
Yeah, but he's green. He's so cool.
I think that Bentley is my least favorite. I think he improves a lot in the third game. Like they revamp him, and I think that they make him a little bit better to play as, because God, the amounts of times that I just try to put anyone to sleep and the shot fucking missed, or something happened where the shot hit them, but it didn't take effect, and they would just start ramming me and attacking me. I was like, oh God.
Yeah, I got pretty good at Bentley. Bentley was my man, but you unlock a couple moves for him that allow him to get around pretty easy in the game. But
if you get money.
If you get money.
That's another thing that's really cool, that you can, break stuff open, get money that way, but also there's treasures in each episode you can go steal or grab a slide and bring back. Plus you can pickpocket guards that will have items that you can then sell too.
Oh, I love pickpocketing guards. It's so much fun.
I got into it later.
Yeah.
So different though from the first game. Like from the get-go. It's just it shows you this isn't. It's okay. It's the same characters. It's the same world, but the rules have changed. Everything has changed. First of all, and I know that we're probably going to touch upon this later, but I want to touch upon it now at the beginning, because it's literally one of the first things that you notice once you get into this game. There is no longer a live system. Now you have a health bar. No more of the Aku Mask bullshit of like, you take damage or like the sparks thing from Spyro, again, which is something that carries over from the PlayStation 1 era of like taking hits instead of having a health bar. That was on the first game, and now it's transitioned to an actual PlayStation 2 game where you actually have a health bar so that you can take a couple more hits and you recuperate it by picking up health and stuff from the level. So immediately the game starts off way better.
Yeah, it feels like an actual evolution of game mechanics.
Yep.
And getting to you have multiple missions where you have the characters working together too as you're doing things, or in some missions where they make you play as 2 different or 3 different characters too throughout the game.
Yeah, because sometimes you enter a mission as one character, but you're not gonna stick around as that character throughout the whole mission. A lot of the times, like. Yeah, it's just so fucking cool. This game,
the different enemy types, because every level will have like your normal little bad guys, and you'll have your big guards with the flashlights that can like kick your ass if you get seen by them. Like it just has so many just like the first episode, I felt did a good job of really kind of bringing you into this, and the whole thing is you're trying to sneak into this nightclub to take this guy out, and I was surprised how much fun it was. Like, I really enjoyed taking out the big pit boss looking hog guards, like, and stuff. I just really enjoyed it. Like, I had so much fun this first episode.
Even with the first episode, they do such a great job of sense of scale. You start off in a very, like, it doesn't feel congested to me for like the hub world. It's pretty big, but it's not big like today's open world games. It feels nice and compacted. And if you go around and every level has 30 little bottles that you can collect. And if you collect all of them, you can find the safe and get a special move. But in doing that, you explore the level and you actually get the sense of achievement because you kind of feel the level now. You actually know where stuff is and you know how to get around that level pretty easily.
Yeah.
And just even in the beginning, learning, like doing recon missions and learning what you have to do instead of someone just telling you, you actually figure out, oh, I got to go destroy this generator. I have to go pickpocket this guard. And you learn everything as the game is slowly teaching it to you. Just brilliant game design.
It does a really good job. Like the whole Dimitri mission, all the recon, everything makes sense. Like he's counterfeiting money and using the clockwork parts, and just like everything you had to do, the different mission. Like there's one mission you have to dance with Carmelita to distract them while Murray or them are doing something else, and just everything is just so amusing, and it works so well. I thought.
It reminds me of another game where in the Jack and Daxter series, Jak 3 is like the perfection of the Jak and Daxter series in the way that it keeps you doing something new all the time, and you feel like you're never really getting bored.
I never played anything but Jak 1. That's the one of the PS2 platformer series I have not put on the show at all, and I have no plan to anytime soon.
Which reminds me, well, I was gonna say, Mike, when are we gonna do Jak 1?
When we finish more Ratchets and more Sly, and then I'll get on there, Jak.
I mean, you can just do Jak 1 and stop there. They never made sequels to that game.
I don't want to play 1 either, so.
1 is so good. Here's the deal. I've talked about this before, I think, here. I prefer Jak 1 over Sly 1 and Ratchet & Clank. I think that Jak and Daxter 1 is like, out of the three, the closest to perfection. After that, the sequels do a better job than everything else. Like, Ratchet & Clank 2 and Sly 2 and every other Ratchet and Sly, they just blow Jak and Daxter out of the water.
Someday I'll do Jak and Daxter. It's just it's down the list. It's not as important to me.
So
that's
when
an
it's
opinion.
When is Spyro?
Surprisingly not yet. I keep meaning to put it on, and I just keep putting other stuff. Eventually it will get on here though, because I need to play it.
At least the reignited version.
That'd be the first one, original. But so also like Sly 2, like the first claw gang guy you go after, Dimitri's chameleon, and I think that like there's one mission you have to go and steal a painting and switch out a painting so you can hear what he's saying. Like just everything is such a good little heist movie in the whole sense that you really feel like you're getting ready for this big mission.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what's so good, and it does such a good job of showing you what your missions are too. When you get like, okay, you got this many missions to go, like this is what you got to do, and it does a very good job of engaging you. And you can also, if you want to, just run around the map and pickpocket guards and break stuff to earn money to buy all the moves, which I should have done early on, but I just never did. But and I feel like the missions are decently different too in each zone. I mean, sure they do redo stuff, of course, but it didn't feel as repetitive as it could have.
Yeah, I think that the one that was most repetitive was the constant, like, going to the place, scoping out, taking pictures, and which was always the initial mission of each episode. I think that one was like probably the most repetitive because you always had to do the exact same thing of like, go into their lair, photograph the thing, and all that. But it's part of what makes the mission the mission.
That doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I will say that. However, even though it is like repetitive and stuff, you gotta appreciate that after you do that, Bentley always brings up the slideshow thing, and that's like my favorite thing in the game, of like seeing that slideshow of, all right, guys, this is what we're supposed to do. Sly, you're gonna take care of this. Murray, you're gonna do this, and I will take care of them. Especially in the last when it's the last slideshow of each episode, and it's like the operation name. I forget what the name of the first one was.
I can't remember either, but they're just so cool. All the different missions, like the way that this game did it was really well done.
Mm-hmm.
Even the first episode, I mean, it does a good job. And then and at the end you have to fight Dimitri, and like also the whole story of like everything connects well into it too. Because all the Clockwork Gang are doing different things to achieve the same end without realizing it. Without you realizing.
Yes, I had forgotten about that. It has been a long time since I played this game, like probably 10 years. So I remember like the beginning areas and all that, but I didn't remember about what happens at the end, which we'll get to later. Of that realization of like, everything everybody did had a purpose. And everything just came together, and I was like, "Oh wait, what?" Also, I do want to add that this was my first Sly game. I didn't start with Sly 1 per se. This was back in maybe 2005, I think, when I got to play this game. It was my first and only Sly Cooper game for a while until I got a PS3 with the Sly collection, and that's how then I got to play Sly 1. Replay this and then play Sly 3, which is why I guess this is my favorite one in the series, because it's the one that I've played the most.
Seems to be the best one or people's favorite.
Yeah, it's either this one or 3. I need to play 3 again to determine that. Like I think that I had problems with 3 with some of the stuff that happened in that one, but it wasn't that major.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited too. This game had made me really excited for the eventual sequel to this game, because this feels like such a complete game. I don't really know where they could go from here mechanically, and that makes me really excited. The story can always continue, but this just felt so tight. Everything felt really nice, and unless they actually significantly overhaul the sneaking or make combat more of a focus, this just feels like a good last game.
I honestly don't remember that much. Like if there's like a significant difference.
I do want to talk about a little bit like when you do your first heist after, to go get Dimitri. That was pretty damn cool too. Like you break down a sign to get into his area and you got to fight him. I had to look up what to do because I was having a hard time with this fight. Mm-hmm. Not that hard. I was just not playing right. But I thought the boss fights in this game were hard.
I think I died like a couple times in Dimitri's boss battle. Like,
I mean, I cheated too. I use save states. I should put that out, but
I didn't. But
that's because trophies.
No, I have the platinum to these games 10 years ago. I got them 10 years ago.
Oh,
so
nice.
Yeah, and no, I was using the emulator, but the emulator doesn't have save states, so
yeah,
weird. Yeah, it's weird.
I own the PS3 copy of this, but I didn't want to play that.
I own the PS2 copy. I own the PS3 copy. Like it's on PS Now.
That's good. I'm glad it's in more places. And then after you beat Dimitri, like you find out later on, like he was the one spreading the spice. And then right after that, it kicks you into the second episode. And each episode, I think, is very cool. Like you were saying, before about the slideshows, like you get a little like cutscene thing that kind of shows you like what happened. Like, Carmelita came and she captured, Dimitri, and then you go on to the next target. Which the second episode, you're trying to attack a castle, if I remember correctly, right, Rashad's?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This one I didn't like as much as the first one. I had a hard time with this one.
Why?
Because you're in India, which I like. It's cool that this game jumps, cities. Like in the first level, you're in Paris. Second one, you're in India.
Third one, you're still in India, but it's like in a jungle.
Yeah. I was also surprised at the fact that episode 2 and 3 are the same villain, because in 2 you don't end up capturing him. You steal some of his parts, but he gets away, and then it leads you into the third episode where you also deal with him again, which I did actually like in the end.
Yeah, that was I didn't expect that, because when I played the first episode, you kind of take care of Dimitri pretty quickly, and then you go into the next villain, and then the fact that you didn't capture him in the end, I was like, oh, that's surprising. Like that actually felt like a good way to do the narrative. Is like, not every villain is easy. Sometimes you're not there for the villain, you're there just for the goal, and that can carry over to a new episode.
Yep.
And that just works really well. The game has so many surprises in its story for a fucking kids game.
"Quote unquote" kids game.
Yeah, I was
this
just
one.
constantly
The first
surprised.
game was E for everyone, or E10, and this one is teen. So
Really,
It's still a kids game. It's just more violent.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just like Ratchet and Clank. Well, no, Ratchet and Clank started off T for teen. Yeah,
And then it went to E2, E10.
One of them did. Oh no, yeah.
All of them on the PlayStation 3 and forward were all E10. The last teen game was Deadlocked.
Okay.
Crazy stuff.
Very crazy stuff.
Oh, and then in episode 2 and 3, that's when you had the rhinoceros guards too, which they amuse me for some reason a lot. I don't know why, but I always liked seeing what the new guards were going to be, what kind of animals they were.
Mm-hmm.
So many great character designs. Like
yes,
you're not dealing with humans, you're just dealing with animals, and the way they what is it called? Anthropomorphize.
Yes.
It's just so cool. It's so much fun. This would have been a great children's show or movie.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this should have been a cartoon.
it does a good job with it, and how everything leads up, and just sneaking around the castle of Rashad and trying to get to him. Everything was pretty interesting from what I remember.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember a whole lot about episode 2. I just remember elephants, and I remember
the dance.
It was long at times.
The best part about episode 2 is the dance. That's like,
okay. I thought the dance was 1, but you're right, it's 2.
No, it's in the second episode where Sly needs to dance with Carmelita, who is the constant presence, kind of, that is always like chasing you around and trying to capture you because she's a cop and whatnot. So I like how she didn't know that it was Sly just because he was wearing a goddamn tuxedo and not the usual garb. Like, God, it's
works. I mean, it's the same Superman thing, you know.
Yes, exactly the same thing. Like, he didn't even his face kind of like looks like a bandana, anyways. So I don't know. I don't know why, but it's just funny.
This is also, I think you get into. I think is Neela in the first episode also.
Yeah, Neela.
Yes.
Constable Neela shows up at the prologue, which is before episode 1, where Sly and the gang are trying to steal the clockwork parts that are at a museum. But when they get there, the clockwork parts are already gone, and Carmelita and Neela show up to bust them. But they escape, as per usual.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I remember her being around, like she helps you kind of at first in a few missions here.
Yeah, she helps you. Yes. Totally.
I didn't see that coming, by the way.
Yeah, as a kid, I didn't see that coming either.
I wasn't a kid, and I still didn't see it coming.
No, I'm a grown ass adult, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. Surprises.
Yeah.
And do they make you first hack in episode 2, or is that 3 when you first have to start hacking with Bentley? Or not Murray?
No, Bentley. Bentley is the
Bentley,
turtle.
okay. Oh, yeah, Murray's the elephant.
Yeah, the hippo.
Hacking was annoying.
Elephant.
I did not like the hacking minigame where you have to drive like a little tank and it's like a shooter.
Yeah.
Like a shoot 'em up.
So first off, let's back up to the episode 2 and 3. Murray's a hippo, and there's elephants in the game in chapters 2 and 3 that are just patrolling. But they're just elephants, right? Or are they humans?
Nick, don't think about it. It's the same thing with Goofy and Pluto from Disney. Don't think about it, please.
They have human animals and then animals.
God damn it.
Oh, yeah, you're right. They're actual elephants. Yeah, you're right.
like
I forgot. Okay,
big
now I get what you're doing.
What's up with that? It's
Evolution, Nick. Some of them evolved into to have actual human brains and stuff, and the other ones, they stayed monkeys. Or
is this biting social commentary on the social classes of animals?
It's Utopia.
Oh man, I am a furry.
This game walked so that Zootopia could run.
I'm gonna stop you there.
I mean, it's not that far away, you know. Like Nick Wilde is a fox Fox. Yeah, Fox. And he then becomes a cop. Carmelita Fox. Yeah, it makes sense. It's all coming together, boys.
But I mean, it does such a good job of linking everything, and it is episode 2 where you first use the damn copter also, which I was not a fan of.
Oh, what?
It took me a little bit to get the hang of it, but I did not like the little copter. You got to drop bombs on people and dodge.
It's a very loosey-goosey copter.
Yeah, it's better than the helicopter from GTA Vice City, but it's still like not that great. I'm gonna be honest.
Hey, at least there were no racing missions in this game.
Oh, thank God. Yes.
Oh, thank God.
Those were fucking miserable in the first game. I don't remember what they were for. I just remember them being miserable.
I didn't understand the proper definition of rubber banding until I played those games, and those games, man.
In the first game, the races were so that you could get the keys or something else. I don't remember what it was.
It's just so you can remember that you're shit.
Yeah,
it's just such a good job with the open worlds of having you run around and use the open world for different things. Like in one with the helicopter in episode 2, where you're escorting Murray as he's carrying something, and you have to, be his air support. Like they do a very good job with that.
Oh yeah, there's a very vast array of different things. Some returning, like the turret. There were turrets in the first game, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't remember the first game at all, by the way. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure that there were turrets in the first game because you had to protect Murray, because that was back in the first game. Here's another thing that we haven't touched upon is that Murray has changed from the first game. In the first game, he was just like the getaway driver with the van, and here he's now like a luchador. He actually fights and does stuff. He's changed his own persona and everything. Murray.
Oh yeah, he speaks in the third person.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I think episode 3 was my least favorite episode. Where you're going after a shot again, but this time you're in a swamp or a jungle.
Yeah,
I didn't like the layout of the level. I got lost a lot. I didn't like how the levels. It's very level, different height levels is what I'm trying to say, and I didn't like that because there was some time where I couldn't figure out how to get somewhere. And I got to go here, climb this tree, all the way over here, then get to where I need to go, and it would annoy me that I had to do all that.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think that that episode 3 is on the bottom of levels for me. I got lost a lot of times as well, like you, on trying to. There were some objectives that you had to get to the top of some place, and I was trying to figure out how do I get up there, because you don't have the paraglide yet by that point, which is the paraglide is a godsend, just one of the best additions to the game. So trying to find this tree, I can see that I can maybe climb it, but then finding out that that's not the one, it's another tree, it's probably my least favorite level as well.
It was just very confusing, and it took me a little while this episode to get through it too. This was a hard episode, I felt.
Yeah, it was. The game like a really
does do a good job of switching up where you have your turret missions, you have all your different missions, but I still just wanted to be Sly.
That's just Sly. Well, I don't know if to say spoilers, but there's a lot more characters in the third game.
That's fine. It'll be a while before I play the third one. So, anything else about the third episode before we get to the end of the third episode we should mention that you guys want to talk about?
Well, I liked
maybe the betrayal was the cool thing of
when you fight the tiger, but you don't fight the boss as Sly, you fight him as Murray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which I thought was kind of cool because I was like, okay, they switch up the boss fights in this game. It's not just Sly fighting everybody.
Yeah, and it does feel like such a cooperative, ensemble cast now, because Sly Cooper is still kind of the main character. But now that you're using Murray, and Bentley also had such a radical shift. He's now doing field work. He's no longer just behind a computer. Everybody has their own importance. And the fact that Murray comes down being the stupid, hippo that he is, he goes and he just punches the boss and wins, and it's great.
That was a hard fight too, but I took a little while. I used save states, of course, but
all of the boss fights were hard this time around.
Yeah, they are
compared to the first game. I died a lot.
And this is when you have the big betrayal that Neela betrays you and throws Carmelita in jail, and you find out the spider. There's this big spider lady that is part of the Interpol, which I'm like, that looks like a villain. And they're like, oh no, she's a cop, and I'm like, that looks like a villain.
Yeah, it's that one thing of that's a rotten egg if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, and then Neela, betrays everybody, and you get captured by Interpol. Well, Murray and Sly get captured, and then Carmelita also gets captured by the spider lady.
Yeah, because she gets framed by Neela. Neela says she was working with the Cooper gang because Neela took a picture of Carmelita and Sly dancing back in episode 2, and she frames her as them just being cohorts or whatever.
And it works somehow.
And it worked. Yeah, but it's because the Contessa is also in cahoots with Neela. So
yeah, and the Claw Gang, you find out in her mission that she's a Claw member.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This was an interesting one too, like, because before every mission out, you get the little like flash when they talk about, just like they did in the first one, how the villain became a villain, and they talk about, oh, Contessa, she married different people, and they just died shortly after she married them, and she made a lot of money.
Hey, she's a Black Widow, so
Which was funny, by the way. But no red hair though for this Black Widow, also, huh?
This ain't Marvel.
She's still mommy though.
And when you start this level is really interesting because all you have is Bentley or Murray. Oh, Bentley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Bentley.
All you have is Bentley. There's nobody else because
episode
they're in
4,
jail.
You mean? Yeah, episode 4. You start in.
Oh yes, episode 4.
It's a jailbreak.
It's the jailbreak.
What city is it in? I don't remember what city this is.
Yeah,
Is in
Prague.
Prague, Eastern Europe.
Okay. Again, that's so cool how you travel. You're traveling the globe in this game. I really like that.
I mean,
mean,
everybody speaks English.
It's game. You gotta kind of like let go of that.
Just because you would alienate a lot of your audience. I mean, I would like it personally because I just read subtitles, but a lot of people would be very upset and wouldn't play the game.
Yeah. Oh, I understand. I think it's a children's game, but it's so funny to me. It's like, yeah, just speak English as all you want.
It was not my favorite hub world though either. Like I liked it more than the jungle.
It was scary.
It is.
Yes. Yeah. As a kid, I think that this level might have given me nightmares.
It's a dark world too. Like you have to rescue Sly. He's in solitary confinement in a little cell, and you have to like crash a train at one point in order to get into more of the, break open a wall with a train. Like you have to do a bunch of different, like more devious missions.
Yeah. Before we continue, I did like the little bit before the beginning of the episode 4, where Bentley finds the van in the jungle, and he's like, I'm gonna have to do the most dangerous thing out of all, learn how to drive stick.
And I just wonder how many kids that are actually playing this, like, do they think that was a funny joke? Do they understand what that means?
No. Here's the deal. Again, this is why these games are so good and hold up so well, is because they don't just necessarily are aimed exclusively at kids. There's also a little bit for the adults or the teens or whatever. So the jokes and the stuff that they throw in here and there. I think that the best games and cartoons that are kiddie or cartoonish or whatever, I think that the best ones are those that can appeal to all the audiences, not just kids, or at least not treat kids as these dumb little babies or whatever.
But my real question is, when they locked up Sly, why didn't they take away his cane?
That's a good question.
I don't have an answer for you.
That's games for you.
Yeah. There was no time for a retrieve gear mission like in other games.
But I do got to say, when you first find out where whatever her name is,
Carmelita.
Like she's chained up in the top of this tower, getting trying to get her mind wiped. I'm like, okay, this is kind of dark here.
So hot. I mean, yes, dark.
I would like
it was a good
furry.
It really makes you see how evil the Contessa is too. I thought that did a good job of that. It did a good job of making you hate her. Like I did not like this character at all, but you're not supposed to.
You're not supposed to. Yeah.
And she's just a villain. She's just this pure.
Yeah, she's a straight up villain.
Yeah.
That somehow managed to become a cop.
I mean, she torturing Murray too. Like when you finally find Murray, she's been using spice on him to make him go crazy and stuff. This is also when you kind of in episode 3 and then more, they kind of talk about how the spice can make you go. Because the whole thing is this whole Clockwork Gang is all, besides Dimitri, is all using spice, harvesting spice, using spice in different ways. And the spice is is a drug essentially.
Yeah.
Which then plays a more part in the story. You find out later that Dimitri was giving everybody the spice and spicing their food, but without them knowing it. So they're all intoxicated.
Yeah. So susceptible to hypnotism.
Yes. And that's what she does in Murray, where you have to go in there and get him angry so he chases after you and breaks things too. I thought that was kind of, and also on her level, they have spider webs that you use to jump off of as your platforms. And you fight bats too, as the guards are bats. And I forget what what the big guards are. Are they vultures for her?
Yeah, they're vultures. There's the bats, and there's I don't know if there were wolves necessarily.
There are wolves. It's either like wolves or foxes.
Yeah. It's like hogs? No, werewolves. Yes,
It does a good job.
Yeah.
It's such a creepy level though too.
I mean, it fits like the whole because it's Prague, so it's Eastern Europe. It's kind of like going for that Transylvania kind of feel where some of the enemies are actually like they're goddamn gargoyles because they like the show gargoyles. Like they are stone and then suddenly they break open and they start attacking you. Like
yeah, that's terrifying.
Yes, very.
And one move that I really liked in this game was the fact that you could, like, if you go behind somebody, hit triangle and square, and you can take them out without them attacking you. Mostly stealthily. I mean, enemies can hear you until later on when you buy an upgrade where they can't hear you. But it was it was my favorite move to use in this game. Is slime.
Oh yeah, that's the way to play this game. Just come on and slam.
Yeah, because you can't really. You're not a good fighter. Sly and Bentley can't fight at all. So
and I like you can just pickpocket them and then viciously murder them.
Exactly.
That's what I did every time.
Yeah.
I got what I came for, and then I killed you, so you wouldn't be a problem anymore.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But the climbing in this game is so good, and I think episode 4 does a good job of making you have to use hooks, and it starts adding new things to the formula where the other episode didn't have as much.
Mm-hmm.
And when you finally did get the free Carmelita and you take out the Contessa, that felt really good too.
Oh yeah.
Fucking Contessa, that was a scary. She wasn't a very hard boss though.
No, she's probably the easiest boss out of them all.
Yeah.
You just kind of keep hitting her.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. I was surprised.
You hit her 2 or 3 times, you step away because she's going to attack you, and then rinse and repeat is basically what you did with her. Also avoid her hypnotism, because if she hit you with her hypno ray, you started with
yeah, that's some cool LSD shit.
Oh yeah.
I didn't get hit by it. I avoided it.
Oh,
without
okay.
save states.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, if she hits you when she does the ice thing, like you just become like a mindless drone walking, and you see this effect, this colorful effect, like the swirl cool. In the background. Yeah, it's real cool. Like God, this game. I know that it's the comparison of like Persona, which oozes style and all that shit. This game oozes style. Like even
style.
So much
the graphics
style.
Still hold up amazingly well to this day. Like, I mean, I played this on I played PS2 version of it on my computer, but it still looked good. I mean, it still looked very good.
Games like this, like the Sly games and Okami, is why I've always said I don't want photorealistic graphics in games, because those over time you're going to look at them and you're going to go like, ooh, it doesn't look that good anymore. But but games that are like cel shaded like this or like Okami, like you can still look at them and you say, damn, these games still look good. Like they look like works of art.
Yeah.
The art style really elevates it of a lot of stuff. Like even like, I mean, to reference Persona again, Persona 3 and Persona 4, they have such a really great aesthetic that the music, the sound design, the visuals, everything, even 10, 15 years later, still looks really good. And the Sly games are exactly that. You can mess with body proportions, you can have all your colorful cast of characters, and they will still look good 10, 15 years down the line.
Yeah. Which is a shame that these games are not on PS4, aside from PS Now, but that's streaming. I mean, actual PS4.
Yeah. These games deserve a pretty good HD remake.
An HD remake.
HD, yeah.
Well, it's just, getting to that era where all games are more available to be ported or in some way.
Yeah.
And we're not really there yet.
I'm always a proponent of, I know that a lot of people are against like remakes and remasters, and people are always saying, oh, why are they porting over this old shit again? Like, I know that people are tired and sick of Skyrim and Resident Evil 4 and Grand Theft Auto and whatever, but, sometimes you do have to keep bringing a lot of these games back, because sometimes accessibility isn't necessarily, there anymore. Like
Nintendo.
God, Nintendo is the worst one with this shit. Like, goddamn.
They are.
Yes, they absolutely are. I know
they
that
don't
people
like to re-release games.
I know that they love and Nintendo, and I love Nintendo too, but I also have to like give them, tough love because of some of the practices that they do. But yeah, I am all for remasters, remakes, and ports of old games, especially if they're not anymore like super accessible. Like again, I know that these games, the Sly Collection, is on PS Now, but not everybody has good internet to stream these games. And another thing that I could say is like Mike and me, like we emulate games. You know, not everybody is also willing to have a PC to emulate these games, or not everybody has the time or patience to set up emulation, because sometimes emulation doesn't work flawlessly.
Yes,
Sometimes you're gonna have, especially with the PlayStation 2 emulation, you're gonna have a lot of things that are not going to translate well when you try to emulate them, no matter how clean the copy of the ROM that you got is. So I am just a huge proponent every single time, every single year, of bring back these games. Bring back, even if it's a slight change to make them like a new HD or whatever, just bring them back. Like some people never had a PlayStation 2 or a PlayStation 3 and never got to play these games. And, you know, us that we're talking about these maybe inspire them to actually do want to check them out, but they're not readily available. So I will always support, you know, remasters and remakes as long as they're well done.
Well, I don't mind if you just re-release something and just put it out there so people can buy it if it doesn't exist.
That too.
Everything should be on Steam, in my opinion. So anything old, throw it on Steam. If you can put it on PC, just put it out there at that point. Just get it out there.
Yes.
Just re-release it. Just have a new SKU for the latest generation.
I mean, I know it's not that simple, but when you can do it.
Yeah. But now it runs on PS5, and then bam, done. It'd be nice. It would be nice.
It would be nice.
Anyway,
and one last thing on that comment about emulation. Like when I emulated this game, I had to change the core a couple different times to find the core that didn't make the game play at 70 speed the whole time. PS2 emulation is difficult. It's not simple. I do it all the time now, but it is not a simple.
It's not just PS2 emulation. It's every emulation. Not
Super Nintendo.
No, I mean, but Super Nintendo has been out for a while, so people already know how to work around this, and those games aren't necessarily that, you know, demanding. So, you know, they're not that hard to actually emulate. But starting with the N64, PlayStation 1, that's where it gets a little bit more complicated because of how
64 is a bitch.
Because of the archetypes of each system and all that. Like, there's still no actual solid Xbox emulation that I can find. There is an
They haven't. No one's finished it yet, which really makes me sad, because there's a lot of Xbox games that are locked away on Xbox that I someday want to play.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
So, and then with episode 4, I think the only last thing we really need to say about it kind of wraps up where you save Carmelita, you take out the Contessa, and you also one thing we forgot to mention, you have Neela going to war against the Contessa in this mission too, where you're kind of pitting them against each other too and doing different things to interact with them.
Yeah. That's in episode 5. Episode 4 is episode 4 is just the jailbreak.
Oh, okay. Then episode 5, you're chasing after Contessa and she ran to her secret castle then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but Carmelita's on the run if I remember correctly, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I'd forgotten that episode 5 was. I didn't like episode 5 that much either.
No, because in episode 4, it's just Sly and Murray that you free. Carmelita is when you start, and you never see Carmelita in episode 4 at all. Like, you don't know.
Okay, sorry, I skipped. I combined them.
I mean, it's fair. Like, both. Like, the thing is that, you know, with these episodes that are with still the same villain, you can kind of
because 5 is when you fight the contestant. You don't fight the contestant into 4. You just end 4.
No. Yeah, you just
that's what it was.
Finish the jailbreak in 4, and then in episode 5 is when Contessa versus Neela happens.
Okay, 5 is an interesting point. You have the damn tanks that are driving around, and you have the pilot tank, which is one of the most miserable controls I played in a while.
Oh
yeah,
boy.
Yeah. Remember the driving? Well, this time it's a tank.
It was miserable. Like, you had to hold both to go forward, to turn left. I never even really understood what the hell I was doing. I just used save states until I just took out, when I have to chase after Carmelita at one point, just did it, or whoever chased after, just did it fast enough. Neela, where I just did it right, or something.
It's the Halo thing but worse, because at least in Halo you have like, you know, actual control, and it kind of makes sense. But here it did not, because here the deal is that it's not just that you have to hold the left stick to move forward. You need to hold both left and right stick to move forward. And in order to rotate, you let go of one so that what do you call those things in the tanks? The trims?
Treads?
The treads. Yeah, the threads. You let go of one. So, for example, if you wanted to go right, you let go of the left of the right analog stick, I think, so that the left one kept moving, but the right one didn't. It was
miserable.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good.
It was my least favorite time with the game.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I mean, of all the mini games this game has, and I think this was the worst that it made you do.
I think that they improve a lot of all this shit, all of the gripes that we have with the mini games, at least in the third game. I don't think that's why I'm trying to remember what happens in the third game, like in terms of gameplay, if they actually do a major change, which I don't think so. I think that they saw that Sly 2 was already like the perfected gameplay taken from 1, and I don't think that they added like too much more difference to it in 3. It's just they refined the little things that people might have complained about. Like I think that in 3 there's still the mini games of the hacking thing. I know that in 4 there's definitely the hacking games, but in 3 I don't remember that well. But if there are, I think that they're much better than here. There's no tank in 3, thankfully.
I do look forward to playing 3 someday. I really do.
I mean, I look forward to hopefully being here to talk
You'll be
about
there
it.
when 3 does someday happen, long as Puerto Rico doesn't get swallowed up by a earthquake.
A big giant monster, yeah.
But even talking about the tank, I feel this game, I had, as much as I love it, and I think it's a really, really great example of this genre, there was just these tiny annoyances all over the game. Like, we're just like, oh, I don't like the way this controls, or it's like, oh, this mission is not as good as the others. And it's so apparent when you get to something that feels kind of bad, how much it sticks out compared to the rest of the game. Because I feel like every level has a couple missions that are just like, I really didn't need to play this, or this one just doesn't feel as polished as everything else.
And it's usually, like we said, the mini games or the side things, like the tank, the chopper, the hacking. It's not necessarily the core gameplay, it is the side gameplay that kind of lowers this game from being that perfect game.
Yeah, I can agree on that.
Yeah, I still enjoyed most of them, but yeah, no, some were annoying. None were super bad. The tank was the worst. There's one mission in this area where you play as Bentley, and you have to like take out a ton of wolves, and you have to use traps and things, and that was hard. Even with safe states, that was hard because
that's such a hard one. Yeah,
and you're done.
Oh yeah. The one that you're trying to grab all the dark magic juju juice.
The black mojo.
Yeah, the bad mojo. The mojo.
It was. I didn't like. It was hard. I had a very hard time doing it. Even with safe states, I had to be creative sometimes because I just would get myself in bad situations. And I went and did them all, and then the game froze on me, and then I had to redo all these missions. I was irritated.
Ooh.
And that's what happened when you only use one save state and weren't using multiple save states, and weren't saving the game normally either. It was about half an hour progress I lost when it happened. But I mean, it wasn't the game's fault. It was emulation issues. My computer just had enough.
Sometimes
well, anytime you're running PS2 emulate, and you start getting into the higher emulations, PS2 and it's not as simple.
No, not at all.
GameCube runs better than PS2, by the way.
Yes.
No, I also had a lot of weird graphical issues in the game. A lot of times, you go into like your Binocucom, and you can see both characters. Like one character will be talking to you, and then Sly will be listening. Sly's hat would just disappear.
Wait, was that in the PS2 version?
I was playing on the PS3.
Oh, okay. No, it's on PS3 emulation or just PlayStation 3?
Just PlayStation 3. Just a regular game. Yeah. And you could see his hair.
Did that happen to you, Mike?
No, that never happened to me.
Okay, so maybe it is a PlayStation 3 thing. It happened on. I was just playing the emulated version of the PlayStation 3. But yeah, that happened to me every single time with Sly. Yeah. Where
it was pretty often.
It was so
maybe
funny.
It's a PS3 thing because I played the PS2 version. I didn't have any issues like that.
Yeah, it might have been like some bad code left in the game.
I didn't really have any real graphical issues with this game at all. Surprised, like nothing.
Like,
I mean, I would. I don't. I think it's a feature because it's like, oh, he's just taking his hat to like conceal his mouth so that Bentley doesn't see what he's saying or something. Like, I like to joke around with that. I didn't see it. Like, sometimes bugs and glitches, they can be irritating and annoying, but some of them sometimes they're silly.
yeah, like it never broke my game or anything, but it was just weird things where like you would take a picture, and since it's a 4:3 game and they fit it for a 16:9 aspect ratio, not everything was properly formatted. And so I would have weird boxes that just like, oh, this is now black bars on the side of the screen, or like just shows you the screen and this is just wrong.
Yeah.
It's interesting though.
But episode 5, I thought was really cool. All the tanks, you have this storming the castle, you're going to war. There's like a supernatural element with like ghosts and shit.
Yes. Yeah.
That's really cool.
It was very well done. I mean, like the part you had to go, at one point you have to steal ghosts and then go there and like drop them into her house.
Yeah, into Neela's headquarters.
Just to piss her off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what sets off like, oh, we gotta attack them because they're trying to attack us and all that.
I just love like, oh man, there's ghosts here. I need to buy more guns.
Yeah. No, I know. It was stupid, but it worked.
Like, you know, this game was made by Americans.
Okay, that was good. That was good. Yeah, the guy who comes in Texas, that's probably a lot more truer than for us, huh?
Oh, God.
And then when you finally get the Contessa at the end of episode 5, and then you rescue Carmelita, then she escapes with you.
Yeah, but then she just bails. She's like, nope, I will not be associated with thieves.
Yeah, which makes sense. I want them to get
sense.
together, but it makes sense.
They're destined.
All right, and then what is episode 6 again? That's the first one with John Bison or Gene Bison, whatever the hell his name is.
Jean Besson. He has a French pronunciation name, and he's the most he has the most
Oregon
hardcore
ass.
southern accent I've heard. Well, I reckon that these Sly Coopers. I'm like, okay, your name, the way you say your name does not match how you talk, sir.
It's a really good pun.
Oh, I love it. I love that. That is Jean Bassan.
Which one was his first level? Is that the one where you're...
It was a train.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that level was really cool. So
That's a good level. Because he has multiple parts too, and you have to go in the whole mission with this one. If there's no like really big heist, you're just going and taking out 3 different trains to steal all his parts.
Yeah,
Yep.
and if you go into like the main menu, it actually shows you like level selects, and it tells you how much time you spend on each level. Like the first level was like an hour and 45 minutes, and then each level since then is somewhere around 2 hours.
Yep.
Jean Besson's first level, it took me an hour and 1 minute. Like, it's just, the pacing on it is just fast. You just get in there and you get out real.
And this is when you get
fast.
attacked by moose. He has mooses that are his guards.
Yes.
Yeah. Or
He's also Canadian. You're in Canada too.
Yeah. It's Canada. God. It's Canada. He's from the South, or he sounds like he's from the South, and his name is French. Like,
his story is great though, where he was somebody from like the 1800s that got frozen in ice, so he has a different mindset of like, let's destroy everything and harvest everything.
Yes, I love it.
It's so conservationist, and like it's like, I hate trees. It's great. You can absolutely tell this game was made by Americans.
God damn it. Gets me every time.
It was a good level though, like having to go get the trains. There's one really funny part where he's like, well, you won't get past me when the trains. You just go by his car. You just sneak by his car and just or his car. You know train car. Headquarters is Washington, by the way, for Sucker Punch.
Great, beautiful.
Americans.
My point stands.
America.
It's just a good level. Like riding the trains was interesting. The world map for this one was fun. Like the recon mission was different, where you have to go and eavesdrop on him, and then go and you have to find his different little cabins, and steal his like art or something, or the fish have blueprints in them. Like It has a lot of interesting things in it, and that they made you do. And this is the first one where you have, which I hated, with these hooks. You have to jump on these hooks and then spring yourself.
Oh man, yeah, it's a really cool mechanic, but I just suck at it.
Me too.
I didn't have a problem with it.
I had a terrible time with it. And it's also interesting because Murray's missing in this area too at first because Carmelita captured him and threw him in a cell.
Yeah.
He goes to look for a snack and then he gets captured by the police.
And she's such a good cop though that she still gives him food. Like,
Yeah, she gives him jelly beans.
thanks for the jelly beans.
Yeah.
It's amusing. And so she's around here running around at times. You're running to her too throughout the level.
Yeah. It's so good.
It's a well done level too.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, and taking out the trains, like, isn't this one you have to fly up? You have to go in a plane and like parachute down onto cars, right?
Yeah.
It's this one. Yeah.
That was kind of cool. It took me a little bit, but it was actually kind of cool.
It took me a little bit to figure out like what to do because I just kept like hitting the balloons and I forgot you had the paraglider, so you can actually you bounce up, hit the paraglider again, and then you can go and land on the train. I was just like I hit one balloon and I tried to land on the train and I kept failing. I didn't know it even showed how much spice you have on your backpack. Like you have to hit balloon to balloon to balloon to balloon, and then once you fill it up, you go and blow up a train.
Yeah, then it tells you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took me a while for not the first train I got it immediately. The other two, it took me a while to land on the spot where you had to land. Like I would usually land in one of the other cabooses, and I would or one of the other train cars.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I would always blow up, and I was like, oh, okay.
It could be irritant too. Like it wasn't the easiest, but it was a cool mission.
Yeah.
And the game checkpoints, well, if you take out one train, it's going to checkpoint at that train. Not going to make you keep doing all three trains.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the checkpoints here are way better.
Yeah, they could have been a lot more unforgiving. And even later on in the game, you have missions where you have to do multiple of the same objectives, and the checkpointing holds true throughout the entire game. So that it does feel good if you mess up.
Yeah, unlike a certain Jack 2.
Someday I need to play that damn series just to finally play them. And then I don't remember how this episode ends. Like I know you take out all three trains and you seal the two lungs in the stomach, but I don't remember what happens after that.
Neela. Yeah, Neela. You find out like you kind of already know, but Neela's like just a bad cop.
Oh, this is the one where she attacks you in the copter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She comes after you, and it's like a shoot 'em up, a shmup with the. It was the helicopter. Yeah, the
RC copter.
Rest in peace, RC copter. You kind of suck, but you still did your purpose.
Okay, and then it's the second episode with Gene Bison where you're at like his little like base camp. Then, right? I think it is some kind of like camp that you're running around. This is the one with the battery and stuff in the lighthouse.
Yeah, so you go to his logging company.
Okay. And then I guess you're trying to get the last. I don't remember what part he had still that you're after. What was going on?
You're after the talons.
The talons, yeah.
Oh yeah, he does the whole like contest where he's like, "Oh, I'll beat you with the talons, and you have to cheat." That was fun.
That was really fun.
God, that shit.
That amused me a lot. Like everything you're doing is setting up to cheat in this contest.
Yeah, and he's paid off the judges, so at the end of the day, you need to take care of the judges in order to actually like beat him. But he's still stronger than all of you combined, so he takes you out. So
yeah, you don't even beat. Oh yeah, I forgot. You get captured by him.
Yep.
This was an interesting. This level was fun. It took a while to get through. This also had a lot of team missions where you would use Sly and Murray or Sly and Bentley or Bentley and Murray in the same mission. It did that a lot in this one.
Yeah.
Which was interesting too, where the game didn't have as many dual missions like that, where this one had a ton.
Yep.
Yeah, it felt like an entire a good heist mission.
Yeah, it was a good episode too. I mean, it was longer and kind of hard. Like because the whole idea is also you're trying to get to the blimp where the last claw member, whatever the hell his name is,
Arpeggio
has a part 2, if I remember right.
No.
Before that, I liked the mammoth that was also frozen, and that you had to unfreeze him, and then he ended up getting frozen again.
And they mention him multiple times in the episode. You're like, oh, he must really like being frozen. You run into him. Oh, so that's where that guy went. You run into him a couple times.
Yeah.
That was so great. I love the humor in these games, especially this one. Is just off the chart, and I love it.
And it's just funny because like they didn't have to do that, but some dumbass developer was like, "What if he falls in the water and he gets frozen again?"
Yeah,
it was funny though.
They're totally right. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
I mean, it was. I had a hard time in one mission. You have to go and get this eagle nest, and I couldn't figure out where the hell the eagle nest was for some reason. Because one thing I had mentioned in this game, the game does have subtitles sometime, but other times it doesn't. And I did not like that there weren't subtitles.
Yeah.
The subtitles are usually just with the Binocucom and cutscenes, but whenever it's anything other than that, there's no subtitles. Which is the first thing that I always look for in games, subtitles. Because, hey, I almost can't hear from one ear, so I need to, and I still can't see for shit either, even with glasses. So, but at least, I balance it out between trying to hear a little bit and reading a little bit. But when you're streaming, you don't pay attention to no shit, and then you're lost, and then you're like, what the hell do I have to do?
Yeah, no, that was annoying. But but the volume just wasn't very good for me, and that wasn't the game fault. I'm pretty sure that was the emulator and just the way I was playing it. I didn't have the best volume. So when I can't read, it really made me upset.
There's a thing, though, that it was interesting because since I was streaming it and I had, the volume at like a proper level, whenever you were playing normally, there was like the same exact amount of volume for the game. But suddenly when it got to the presentations, the volume like skyrocketed. Like
it's so loud.
Yeah, it never got louder for me.
Oh, so it might be a PS3 thing then.
Yeah, that's probably a PS3 thing.
It's probably a PS3 thing because every time that it swapped to the presentations, since I think that they never touched those up for the PlayStation 3, I think that they just left them exactly the same.
That is funny because like whenever you finish your missions and it zooms back into your safe house, it's so low poly.
Yeah,
and it just looks like shit.
Yep.
It's like, oh, cool. They didn't even change it.
No,
that's good to know.
So I guess that they didn't even change the volume either to match the rest of the game. At least
like
that. Yeah. God damn.
It's interesting though.
Yeah. It's interesting what especially since we're playing like Mike, you were playing the PS2 versions, and we played the PS3 versions. So
I'm glad that we play different versions because we get it's interesting to hear the different stuff, how it went.
See why I played Pokemon.
No, I got nothing for that one. You played the wrong version. I got nothing.
See why I played Alpha
That's like saying I didn't play Slide 2 for the show. I played Slide 4.
No, because Slide 4 is a different story. Sapphire is still the same story as
it's like
Emerald.
saying we're playing FF7 and I play the remake instead of the regular game. Same story.
No. Okay, on that one, no.
Well, the remake's just better.
One that, but two, the remake is the remake, the reboot, the sequel. It works in mysterious ways. That's all I'll say. Anyway, so like Cooper.
And then after you end up you win the contest that you're the whole heist for, that you're doing all this trouble for. Everything was for nothing because then you get, like you said, you get captured, you get knocked out by Jean and then locked up and put in the airship. And this is the lowest part for them too. Like, oh no, I forgot, you got to fight Jean as Bentley.
Yes.
That was a cool fight. I actually really enjoyed that fight.
It actually was fun. Like you ran around and you hit switches, right? And that's how you heard them.
Yeah. You have fire, you have saws. I died a lot too.
I died so many times because of my own traps. Not necessarily because of him. It was because I would like fire. And since I think that I have a little bit of a problem with that fight, and it's that I think that the camera should have been a little bit further away from Bentley.
Oh.
Because sometimes you can't necessarily see where you're going because you're running around. You can't stop for shit. Like,
no, he'll kill you. I just now realized there's logs you can drop on him. I'm watching the video of it.
Yeah.
Dude,
I only knew
the
about the blades and the fires. I never noticed the logs or missed it when the game had the text that ran across that said use the logs or somewhere said
The
logs. I
logs.
never realized that.
The logs were my saving grace because I was dying so much in that fucking fight that I ended up just cheesing the fight with just going to the middle log, letting him come to me and just dropping the log on him, moving a little bit because his character gets thrown back after he recuperates. He gets thrown back like a little bit, but the amount of time that he comes back, the logs are already back in place, so you can just keep dropping it on him constantly.
Yeah, that's a speedrun tactic too, by the way. That's what they do.
So I basically did that without knowing that it was a speedrun tactic. I was just like, I gotta cheese this fucker somehow because I am not gonna stay here all night.
Okay, that's cool. I enjoyed this fight. This is one I didn't have a hard time with, actually.
I had a hard time. It's an interesting fight. I just have that one gripe that the camera should have been panned a little bit further away from Bentley so that you can see where you're going when running away from him.
Yeah. Well, I had the most trouble with the tiger because I don't like games that have bosses that just take an insane amount of damage for no reason but to annoy you, and you just got to keep watching the same pattern over and over again.
Bullet sponges.
Oh, yeah. Metroid 2. I just don't like that. That irritates me a lot. Where you're just waiting for an opening. As soon as you get that opening, if you miss it up, now you got to go through the whole cycle again. I just don't like that in games. I'd rather just be able to keep beating at you and then, we just get through it. Not, well, let's just play this game for 6 minutes and have a long, drawn-out fight where you're on your toes for 6 minutes. I don't like that. I don't know. And then also, this is the really depressing part for the team because after you get captured, you lose all your parts too. They take all your parts, they throw you in a battery cell, and you're up in the sky.
Yep.
It's kind of sad too. Everything you did was for nothing. They're so depressed and upset. And
I mean, there's a lot of sad parts in the game, like when Sly and Murray get captured that first time, and Bentley is left all alone, and he's like, in all the years that we've known each other, we've never been split apart. We've always been together, and he's like, that's his driving. That's his motivation of I need to rescue the guys because I don't know what to do all by myself and all that.
Yeah.
All by myself.
But the thing that got me was Murray just looking. I don't know how, but I guess that there was a little bit of space to look outside, and he saw the van just floating away in an iceberg. And the van, not the van.
And
we had
this was an interesting episode because the whole time you're in the sky, you're in a giant you're in a giant airship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in a blimp.
Yeah,
it's the first level. Is such a good last level.
It's hard though.
Yeah,
even that recon mission, you have to steal 4 keys from the guards, and you can't take them out. And then you have to I had a really hard time with this because I couldn't figure out. I had to watch a video to figure out what to do. Where you have to jump on these moving platforms and hit a button, but there's no symbol. Everything has a symbol in this game. There's no fly symbol to show you to do it.
Yeah, you have to you have to hit on them when they are level, so you can actually you can actually stand on them. Then you have to go operate the computer. It required a little bit of thinking.
I had no time to look at videos. I was streaming that, and I was just the beginning part. I was already 30 minutes, and I was like, oh no, I'm going to be here all night.
Yeah.
It's cool, and it's also funny how you're the reason that you put together because you think these magnets are holding together clockwork, and it ends up being when you mess with them, it puts them all together.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that bunch of shit.
You done blew it.
This is when you really do see Nilo working with Archipeg, the little parrot guy, which is the last of the group.
Arpeggio. Arpeggio's such a disappointment, though.
You don't even fight him. He's not really he's just there. He's just a little parrot.
He goes out like a fucking punk.
He gets eaten alive.
Ugh, Jesus H. Christ. But yeah, they give you backstory of who he is, but he was just
it's so funny because they build him up, and his name Arpeggio is funny because it just means instead of playing a chord, you arpeggiate it. You basically play the short notes of everything, and since he's a short guy, it's just it's a funny name.
I never realized that.
But they build him up to be he's going to be smart. He's going to be someone that's going to be really hard to take down, and then he just gets eaten by a bird.
Yeah, he just fucking bites the dust. Jeez.
Easy. It's great.
Oh, I forgot because she eats them, doesn't she? Because Neela ends up taking over Clockwork at one point.
Yep.
Because the whole mission, or you find out the whole plan was that that everything they were doing, Clockwork Gang was doing, was to get the spice, and then the spice was going to make everybody hate in Paris, so that when they flew over Paris using the Aurora Borealis that you were dealing with earlier, they were going to absorb all the energy and then absorb all the hate, so they would become Clockwork would become immortal, and whoever's inside of him.
Yeah. So, like I said, everything since the beginning tied up all at the end of like everyone thought that they were like doing their own operation like separately and shit, but no, it all like amounted to Arpeggio's ultimate plan, which
was to take over. His plan failed because Neela goes inside Clockwork and not him.
Yeah.
Which essentially she's absorbed by Clockwork, right? Like she's now part of the mech.
She is Clockwork. She is
Clockwork. Clockla, yeah.
Clockwork.
We never actually get like a backstory of her, like why, like who she was before being a cop, like why she wanted the like aside from the fact the whole I want to be eternal or whatever, the same evildoer monologue thing or whatever. But we never actually like do get like a backstory of her. She's the only one that we never got anything.
Yeah, she's just kind of an elusive figure. You don't really get anything about her, which kind of makes it disappointing because she's the big bad at the very end of it, and I don't know if she comes back in the next game or
spoilers. No.
Okay. Like it just makes it seemed like you did all this good stuff. Like the Claw Gang was kind of cool. Like they seemed like really interesting villains, and then Neela just kind of comes in here and it's like, meh.
This is my show, bitches.
I mean, the last level was hard. Like, there's one mission you had to go in a TNT barrel and run around so you can't jump. And I hated this mission so much.
Because I didn't have that much.
Like, it is not that much trouble to get around.
I didn't have that much trouble.
I swear, the guards that have the lights on them, they were my worst enemy. They would turn around, and so I would be right behind them. It's like, okay, as long as they don't see me in their lights, I'll be fine. So I would just try and sneak a little bit to reposition myself, and they would immediately turn around and hit me. I probably spent 25 minutes on that frickin' mission, just going from each dynamite stick or each magnet stick. Oh man, that's a good mission.
The whole last area is just such a like mess to get around, but it works. But it was interesting. Like, it's hard. It was a very hard. But you are right. It's a very good last level.
Yeah, the stakes feel.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah.
And then you end up fighting Clockwork. Like, I like how the last 2 missions are all like one set where you're on a freaking copter with Carmelita and you're gunning down, fighting. I had a hard time with this one where you're shooting at Clockwork.
That helicopter ride with the turret. I was having a hard time because you can usually like take down the missiles that Clockla shoots at you or the rings. If you shoot them once, they turn from
those
the
rings
inside
were
to
terrible until I watched the video.
Oh man.
Yeah, those rings you can avoid them, but there's one shot that you will always get hit if she does it.
Yeah, the energy blast.
You can dodge it. You can stop that.
Yeah, you can stop it, but it took me like five deaths to actually hear it because I could hear when she was powering it up, and that I had to like, I gotta shoot before she shoots me with that shit because that's gonna be the end of me.
You gotta shoot her in the face a whole bunch to stop her, otherwise it takes a lot of damage.
The problem with that is that the rings would be coming at you. So
you have to hit the ring, shoot in between the rings, but not hit the rings again. Because if you hit the rings again, you'll reactivate them. Oh, yeah, it was miserable.
Yeah.
Such a good, like, last minute, like, fuck you. Because, like, you just shoot missiles. Like, cool, I'm just going to shoot the missiles. And I kept shooting the rings. And I didn't know that they were opening and closing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, how many shots does it take to destroy these? Man.
Yeah, it took me a while to remember that shit.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And then you finally get on Clockwork, and then you have to hit him in the eyes, which I had to watch. I couldn't figure out how to do either at first. And then you finally get it to crash. And then the final like little fight, which is kind of a free fight where you play as all three of them, that was cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
All three got to do a little bit of thing included to beat Clockwork, and then Carmelita finally arrests Sly as part of the deal to let the other two go free.
Before that, Mike. Before that. Murray has to open up the Clockwork jaws so that Bentley can take out the hate ship, which is the thing that is powering up clockwork, and when he does that, the mouth closes and Bentley becomes paraplegic.
Yeah, they break his legs.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
he
they
says
just straight
that-
up break his legs.
Yeah, he says, Murray, come pick me up because I can't move.
Yeah,
And spoilers for the future games, but this thing, he can no longer walk in the future games. He uses a wheelchair.
Oh,
Yeah.
who broke his leg?
The mouth.
Oh,
When
okay.
it closed down, it crushed his legs.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
fucked up.
it's fucking sad, dude. So Carmelita shows up to arrest them, and Sly just barters with her, let them go, because he knows that, you know, if they try to run, they're not gonna make it because Bentley is just a wreck right now. So he just barters with her and trades himself to Carmelita in order to let the guys go. And Carmelita finally arrests the ringtail.
It's a little bit of a sad moment at the very end.
Yeah, I thought for sure, like, okay, so that's how the third game's gonna start, and then he escapes in the
Yes.
helicopter.
I love how he says, by the time that we passed the Eiffel Tower for the 15th time, I figured that something was up. Oh, God.
There's no
I don't-
pilot, it's just a brick.
Yeah, I don't know how the hell they then Murray did it, because it wasn't Bentley, it was Murray that just sabotaged the helicopter at some point, and just again, video game, I guess. It was still funny. And
Yeah,
also
it's a good little scene.
I like the fact that they like actually bonded a little bit. Like they started like sharing like their passions and all that stuff. Because here's the deal: Sly has always been after Carmelita's tail, but I mean, at the end of the first game, he kisses her, and she like, oh, so I don't know.
Like, they're made for each other.
Yes, they are. It's just the professions that they choose are not, you know,
Are very opposites of each other.
exactly.
Mhm.
Which
Is
we'll leave it there.
was without any spoiler talk, was 4 supposed to be the end? Like, does it have like a wrap up to the series, or was it just another game that they just never
No.
got greenlit?
Tree felt like an end.
Okay.
Because the way Tree ends, I think it ended pretty solidly. People have a lot of problems with 4. I don't have a problem with it.
I've heard.
Yeah, there's some stuff that happens that undoes the last game or episode
3?
slide tree. Yeah, slide
Okay.
tree. Like a lot of things. So there's a total 180 that people hate so much with one character in that was presented in slide tree, and they have something happens with that character in slide 4 that people just hate a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, it will be interesting, but no, 4. The thing with 4 though is that one ends with a cliffhanger,
Oh, that's too bad.
and we're probably never getting a slide 5. God damn it!
Yeah, I don't think we are either. So
Like,
you never know,
I-
though.
I started having hope because months ago they actually released a Sly Cooper Funko Pop, and I was like, "Ooh, maybe maybe this is, you know, like teasing something," because there was a Ratchet and Clank Funko Pop that came out when the new game came out. So when they revealed that they were doing a Sly Cooper Funko, I was like, "Ooh, wait a minute, maybe now's the time. Maybe Sly's coming back, baby." But so far, nothing.
Yeah, you're probably not getting anything anytime soon, I feel like.
Sadly,
And they didn't even do Sly 4.
they did.
No,
No, they didn't. They're not. I'm looking at their stuff. They didn't do Sly 4.
Sucker Punch, no.
No,
It was Sansaru
Games,
Games.
which
So
handled
Sony.
the remakes of the 1 through 3.
Yeah, the HD
Okay.
collection. Yeah.
All right, you guys ready for questions, comments, and memories? I got a
Oh yeah,
All right,
Yeah.
first from I watched the entire Overlord Super Replay from Daniel Melman. The open hubs, multiple characters, in-game economy, and lighter focus and platforming all really messed with what I loved about the first game, which I consider one of the best platformers on the PS2. I was honestly bored to tears and never ended up playing 3 or 4 as a result, even though I loved 1 so much.
Yeah, that's a
It's a hot
Melman
take.
opinion if I've ever heard one.
Yes, it is. He was on the show, actually, Prince of Persia episode. He's been on 1 so far. He's on Golden Sun also. That hasn't been released yet. Andrew Burns. I was first exposed to this through a demo of Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal and blown away as a kid. Bought the game but never saw it through until I picked up the PS3 collection last year. It wasn't my first platinum, but I credit Sly 2 for being one of the most instrumental in making me a trophy hunter.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Platinum,
It was fun.
baby.
It was fun getting the platinum in this game because it wasn't very hard. You didn't have to do anything out of the ordinary. You just had to do everything.
Mhm.
From Brent Johnson, I always thought it was deeply hilarious. Carmelita had a new voice actor every game. I think they got every character's voice just right with this one, though.
Yeah, that's something that happens in every game. Carmelita's voice, they changed the voice actress for Carmelita.
I had no idea.
Oh yeah, and they give her like different accents each time too. Like sometimes she's British. In this one, she's like.
I thought she was the same person. No. She also didn't talk a lot. So
in this one, she's like Hispanic. I think that's why that's why I like this one. This one is my favorite Carmelita too. Like the voice just, and maybe it's nostalgia. Maybe it's because this was my first Sly game, but this is the one that I prefer out of all the Carmelita voices.
And from Tom Drake, one of the best games of the PS2 era, if not in general. I missed this Sucker Punch so dang much. Also, probably my favorite 3D platformer now that I think about it. From Jeremy Shannon, I really enjoyed the hub worlds in Sly 2 and 3 much better than the linear Sly 1. Those games are a delight. Enjoy playing it for the first time and check out Sly 3 afterwards. It's not as good as 2, but still great.
Dang.
It'll be a while someday.
Yeah, we'll be back.
And from World of Sly Cooper official, I got a few comments.
I'm surprised. Isaiah Vila. I'm surprised that Gabe didn't comment anything.
No, they tagged him. Trent tagged him, but he didn't put anything in there.
Okay. Because he's probably the biggest Sly fan in the group. Like he definitely has opinions about Sly 4. That's
I do want to play the other Sly game someday, but it'll probably be a while. It's definitely going to be probably a year before I play 3 because I'm in no rush.
Yeah.
I got too many other games I got to knock off my list.
Yeah, like Infamous 2. Infamous 2. When, Mike? Infamous 2.
I do want to do that, but I didn't make it the next season unless I change things around. From Isaiah Vila, it's one of the best games in the Sly saga. Good story, good dialogue and writing, and awesome gameplay, memorable moments. Preston Sapp. Sly 2 is my personal favorite out of all the series. One of the all-time favorite games in general, actually. Let's see. From Sylvie in Scotland, Sly 2 is the best out of the franchise by far. This is when we dive deep into the stealth genre. And let's see, from Mirzan Azmi, I got stuck in Rajan's Part 2 and didn't complete it till a couple years ago. Aside from that, nostalgic story and amazing gameplay carried it really well. And from the Giant Bomb group, I got 2 comments. I'll read both of those. From Jason Forberg, dude, I love the Indian level where you get to dance to a waltz version of the Sly's theme with Carmelita. From Paul Engman, I really like the Sly games, but I think Sly 2 is pretty dark when it comes to Bentley and they kind of just gloss over it.
Yeah. The motherfucker just breaks his legs and they're like, well...
Yep.
See you next game.
From the last group, I'm going to read from Sly Cooper's fan club. I got a lot of comments. I will not be able to read all of them, but I'll read some. From Carlos Soto, this is a game with fantastic gameplay and in-depth story, sharp writing, and great visuals. The only downside is the lack of mission reset. Here's one that we kind of talked about from Matt Keeper. I think having a discussion on how they could have fleshed out Neela's character backstory would be interesting. After all, they never explained why she wanted the immortality for herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been nice. Like you guys are right, like we mentioned earlier. I didn't think about it when I was playing it, but yeah, they should have gave her something.
Like Neela compared to actual Clockwork, who what his motivation is, or the main villain of the third game to a degree as well. Neela's like the lowest of the three just because of that. In terms of like the final boss that you're trying to defeat, like. They needed to add like some sort of backstory or some sort of explanation because it almost just comes out of nowhere of her. Oh yeah, I was working with the Claw Gang all along and I wanted immortality for myself. Like it almost feels like it was shoehorned in instead of like, Arpeggio, his motivation. He was bullied, he was short and all that. That's why he wanted to have all the power and whatnot. But Neela, it's just, they never go into her backstory. So you never really like, understand why she wanted the immortality aside from I'm evil, so I want to be super evil now.
I wonder if that was there then got cut for one reason or another.
I don't know. That's a good question.
That feels like something that might have gotten cut in a way,
Maybe.
Okay. And let's see, from Fred LaFrant, I liked it, but too many holes and some things don't make sense. Okay. From Josh Molzen, this is a game that aged like fine wine. I don't know how I end up getting this game for Christmas, but I can say it easily one of the best in the PS2 I played when looking at other platformers in the era. great characters with great backstories that build their archetypes. The prologue is such a great setup to the characters and how you get a good feel for them. The first 3 acts are so well designed, not to say the rest of the game isn't great. Each area remains consistently interesting and fun to traverse. The power-up and clue bottle system is also a lot of fun. It is a game I go back to almost as much as Jak and Daxter. And let's see. And this here's a good one from Michael Roberts. I feel bad that you skipped this game. I remember when it came out, I begged my mom to get this game for me when I was in the 1st grade.
Damn.
I don't know how I skipped this game, to be honest.
I was dumb. I was too dumb as a kid.
I already told you that. This was the game that I played. I skipped 1 and I skipped 3. I played this one.
Well, I'm glad I finally went back to it. Like I skipped a lot of PS2 platformers. Like back then when
This is a good game.
PS2, a buddy of mine would buy the Ratchet and Clank games. I bought I would buy different. We tried to buy different games, so we would borrow each other's games then.
Mm-hmm.
And this was one series for some reason. We didn't like stealth, so neither of us ever picked this up. I never played it until Stu put the first one on the show a while ago.
Oh yeah, yeah. I did. I kind of did that with, but it was this. I got this and Ratchet 2. My best friend had the Jak games, and he would be the one that loaned them to me so that I could play them.
All right, I think we should go to Shelf Stacker Box, and I'll go first as the new guy who never played this game before. So I went into this game I had some high hope because of DJ's old comments, and people have talked so highly about this game, but I was still blown away with how much I enjoyed it, how much fun I had, how good I think it is. Like I'm so glad I got to play this game finally, and it's a game that I'm going to be recommending to people all the time from now on. Like it's really damn good. It's going on the shelf, and I'm so happy I got to play it. What about you, Nick?
Oh man, I'm only on this show whenever we play good games. Which it sounds like I'm such a shill, but this is just going on the shelf.
Most people don't come on for shit games.
Yeah, I would love to play a shit game sometime. I just don't really do that. But
I do.
It's such a good game, and it takes me back. It's like this is like the pinnacle of like the PlayStation 2 era. Like they were just damn good games coming out. So man, put that shit on the shelf.
All right. And what about you, Emanuel?
You already know. Why do you ask?
But I still need to hear it. The audience needs to hear it.
You already know. You already know that this game. Put it on the shelf.
Put it on the Switch too, huh?
Put it on the shelf because
you should totally put this on the Switch.
I mean, maybe someday, maybe one day, when all the consoles merge together to wage war against the evil PC master race.
You mean against Disney? That's what it'll be.
That too. But yeah, this game just, like I said, it oozes. It's still such a good game, even after all these years. Even though if you watch my streams, I struggled a little bit here and there, but it was because I had a deadline of getting to this show to actually talk about it. So I was getting a little bit frustrated with some of it, but I've said that it's not the game's fault. It is my own fault. But this game's fantastic still. This is easily, like Nick said, one of the best PlayStation 2 games of all time. Like there is this game just oozes style. It's still super good to play. The characters are charming. The story is so good, and everything about it, except for the gripes that we had with the mini games and stuff. Those things like take it down a notch from it being like the perfect PlayStation 2 platformer, but it still comes very damn near close. So yeah, obviously it goes on. It is on my shelf. I mean, the PlayStation 3 version is on my shelf.
Yes.
Okay. And that about wraps up the episode. And before I go on to say what we're going to talk about next week, I do want to say, if you do want to hear the first Sly Cooper episode 65, God, it's been a long time. Almost 100 episodes since we covered it.
Been almost 100 episodes. Jesus H. Christ, Mike.
It's been 90. Well, because Stu picked the first one, and I've been meaning to get, but it never was on my list as one of my picks. There's always been other stuff, but now that it's just me doing picks, I'm like, well, I'll just finally get this out of the way. That's kind of how it happened. So, yeah, definitely go look at that. And I do want to mention what we're going to be next week. I'm going to be talking about Metroid Samus Returns for 3DS.
Oh, boy.
Ooh.
Oh, that game. And I'm playing it legit because I couldn't get and I regret this. I owned it. I bought it a long time ago. I don't regret that part. But I'm not playing emulation. I'm actually playing legit. And I regret that.
Dude.
At the moment, I'm at the Metroid Queen.
Even me playing with emulation, I had such a hard time.
Oh, I've got my ass handed to me multiple times, and now I'm on the Metroid Queen. I'm about to go start it later, and I'm just like, oh,
even
God,
with
this
save
is not
states,
gonna be fun.
Even with save states, I had such a hard time, dude. You can go back at it.
I just didn't want to mess with the 3DS emulator because you have to uncrypt stuff. And I'm like, I want to play an actual 3DS. Like, I'm going to play this legit. And I regret that decision immensely.
There's files that you can find that are decrypted already. You don't need to.
Oh, well, I did not know. We can talk about that afterwards. But yeah, I bought it. Oh God, I bought it years ago for like $20, and I've been holding on to it. It felt bad opening it. I had to break the brand new open seal. I'm like, this feels bad.
Since I'm not gonna be in that episode, I will say that Metroid: Samus Returns was was the game that kept me sane in 2017, because when the game arrived, and it was the time when Hurricane Maria hit us here in Puerto Rico. So we had no electricity for a whole month, and I just had the 3DS. I didn't have a Switch. I just had the 3DS, and Metroid: Samus Returns was keeping me sane during all those very dark nights. So I have a soft spot for it, even though, God, some of it is frustrating. A lot of it is frustrating, actually. It's a good thing that Metroid Dread is so much better.
I do want to play it. It makes me really want to play Dread, but I'll get more into that next week.
They incorporated a lot of things from Samus Returns to Metroid Dread, but done much better.
I look forward to it. And Emanuel, where can people find you at?
People can find me over at twitch.tv/Commander Lionheart, where I stream a couple times a week. I have a show called First Strike, where I sit down to play the beginning of old-ass video games, where sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not so good. I have a different variety of shows, like License the Game. I play licensed video games, like Enter the Matrix, or Spider-Man 2, or like yesterday, The Grinch for PlayStation 1.
Oh, that's a good game.
I was surprised that it was decent. I thought, by what everyone had told me, I thought that I would hate it, but I actually there's
sometimes
a few things.
Old games can surprise you that you just would think are trash, and they aren't.
There's a few problems with that game, like frame rate and it stopping every 5 seconds to tell you what you need to do. But aside from that, I thought that it played well, and I will maybe play the whole thing eventually. But I also have First Lap, where I play racing games. I am going to have up next year, because I'm only going to do like 3 more streams this year. The next year, I'm going to do Kart Month, where I take a look at different kart racers from the different games, like the 2 Diddy Kong games.
Those are good.
The 2 Diddy Kong racing games, which I've never played either. The Lego Racer games. There's a bunch. There's a whole... Dude, when I first started looking at all the kart racers that exist, there was so many. Because I was going to... It was supposed to be like just me doing some kart games for First Strike, but I decided to spin off the racing games to its own show, because I was never going to get through all the kart racers. So there's that. There's Future Strike, where it's new games and demos of upcoming games. Indie Strike, the name says it all. It's indie games, which I'll be doing. Spark the Electric Jester 1 and 2, which are Sonic clones, basically. And speaking of Sonic, the final strike, which is the last First Strike of the year, is going to be Sonic 06. So,
that's a good game.
I really want to play it for the show, but I gotta find suckers first before I put it on.
Well, you got a volunteer right there called Nick Pelayo. He's the biggest sucker right there that I can see right now that said that it's a good game.
It's a good game.
I really want to do it on the show. I've never played it. I own it. Multiple copies of it. I really want to do it on the show.
But also, lastly, I also do a weekly movie show that is Mystery Movie Friends, where me and a few of the other guys from the group and my friends, we discuss different movies, sometimes ones that I've never seen. Like a few weeks ago, we did Die Hard, because I had never actually seen Die Hard, and I enjoyed that movie very much.
It's a movie.
It's one could say it's a Christmas movie. But yeah, you can catch all that over on twitch.tv/Commander Lionheart or youtube.com/Commander Lionheart.
All right. And if you enjoyed this episode, you can find rest. We have 284 other episodes or more for you to enjoy at this point of this recording. So definitely go check that out. If you can't find everything on whatever podcast you use, iTunes, Spotify, everything is on Podbean. So if you want to find a lot of really old stuff, you might have to go to Podbean or Podcast Addict, which is the thing that lets you download them to your device. And then you can find all our old episodes. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. Everything is on YouTube, but no video, just audio. So if you want to listen to your podcast while you're at work, you can do it right on YouTube. Nice and easy. I know I've done it before, so definitely go check that out. And I want to give a shout out to our awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Helena at Hell Hath Fury is her TikTok. You will see her link in the show notes to her TikTok. Go follow her on Instagram, TikTok, and everything like that. She's on there posting videos. And want to give a shout out to my buddy Bill Tucker, who did the MCU stuff with me, which is finished. He started his own podcast, Gamer Looks at 40. Definitely go check him out. And I think that we have a Patreon. How can I forget? For as little as an hour, you can go vote in our Patreon polls. So go help out the show. Throw us some money. It keeps the lights on. And I think that's everything I need to say. And we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.